welcome to the Real CP Show. I am your host, CP. Today's date is August the 10th, 2026. And today's topic, this particular extremely violent, pro-border breaking illegal immigrant, however, immigrationist, pro-ness, regardless, etc., Filipino heritage male, who also was a benefactor of the 14th Amendment that was supposed to be specifically for Black Americans. Notice what's going on right now. People still trying to keep that watered down, but knowing that Black Americans better not try to flee over to somebody of the country and say the Black woman has kids left and right. You think they're going to allow Black American women just to be, balling out with kids upon kids upon kids? Huh? So whichever Philippines place his parents originated from, he set Fireness outside this major federal building in Manhattan. Again, the story went quiet fast. Yeah, I was like this when I saw this story. Not funny whatsoever. It's actually despicable. See, the thing about it is, when this story happened, that it was hot for half a second, but then it didn't fit the narrative. It didn't fit the narrative, right? Oh my goodness, he's pro-border breaking illegal immigrants, right? And stuff like this. Oh, that didn't catch on what they wanted is to catch on to it, right? And again, what makes this, there's all kind of ways makes this look pretty messed up. Now here it is, his parents were Filipinos, for whichever parts of the beautiful Philippines, right? So we're not going to play the game. Oh my goodness, they don't like the Philippines. Go to Haiti with that game. None of the people went to the Philippines. Various sections of it say there's some beautiful people. So we're not going to play that little minimizing game of, well, we're just going to sit there and look at the good personnel within various parts of the Philippines. We're not going to look at the bad personnel. No, we're not going to do that. And that's despicable, but it's a game in itself. Could you imagine if Black Americans went to the Philippines? You think minor criminality would be accepted by numbers of some Black males? I don't think so. You understand? Now here it is. He was a benefactor of his parents fleeing from the Philippines, right? Again, the ones that applies to relate the situation, and they made sure to pop out that kid or kids real fast when they got here off the backbones of the black paint of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. And again, it's despicable how you still got people arguing about this. And it's an insult to millions of Black Americans. It truly is. I'm not talking about gullibles or silly ones, right? It's an insult for people to be arguing about this. For something that had nothing to do with many of these cultures and backgrounds, and certainly had nothing to do with border breaking illegal immigrants. Do you understand? It had nothing to do with some immigrationists, but it was only for Black Americans. And you got people fighting against what it was supposed to be about because it benefits these other people. And they are playing a long game. And they know many numbers of Black Americans have some gullibleness related to immigration issues, and they know that numbers of Black Americans are very thick-skulled, the ones applies to. They keep trying to fight for these immigration personnel's rights first before Black Americans' rights. It's about the ones applies to, which is not a small number. They know it's only a small number of Black Americans that see through this game, but they know quite a number of Black Americans are thick in the skull relating to people getting over Black Americans overall. Let's go ahead and share my screen on this. Let me go ahead and play this video as timepiece purposes and under fair uses doctrine.
Breaking news, the alarming scene at the federal building here in New York City. Authorities tonight accusing a former U.S. soldier of setting fire outside the Federal Building in Lower Manhattan. Dramatic video tonight showing the suspect pouring gasoline on the steps of the Federal Building in Lower Manhattan. Dramatic video tonight showing the suspect pouring gasoline. U.S. soldier of setting fire outside the Federal Building in Lower Manhattan. Dramatic video tonight showing the suspect pouring gasoline on the steps to the building and igniting it, creating a huge wall of flames at 26 Federal Plaza. ICE, the FBI, and other federal agencies, all with officers inside. The suspect taken down moment. ICE, the FBI, and other federal agencies, all with officers inside. The suspect taken down moments later, wrestled to the ground there. The FBI tonight calling it an anti-government attack. And tonight, what authorities say he was also armed with. Our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katersky, leading us off from the scene tonight.
And by the way, it's interesting how this foolishness, oh my goodness, it wasn't just anti-government, you want to call it. That's very freaking broad, right? Why was he not considered a domestic terrorist? Again, why was he not considered a domestic terrorist? Do you understand the sneakiness, knockiness, cow manureness of games that were playing against this? They minimized the heck out of this.
This is the moment a former U.S. soldier tries to set fire to the Federal Building in New York.
Guys, oh my God!
Flames and smoke crawling up the facade in Lower Manhattan this morning as immigration hearings were set to begin. The FBI calling it an anti-government attack. Watch as the suspect, identified as 43-year-old Andrew Arabaca, splashes gasoline onto an outdoor stairwell, ignites it with fireworks, and runs off.
But that's not considered an act of terrorism? Do you see how these people, these demonicness, numbers of people that minimize this? Could you imagine if that would have been a Black American man that did this? I want you to understand this. Oh, well, he was in the service too. He was a veteran. He did this. Oh, you know the racial animosity, anti-Blackness that would have been coming out of this? See, they want to say, oh, well, that's that particular Black American male did this, or that particular Black American woman did this. Oh, no, 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 no. They'd be like, Black Americans, piss off for the ones who try to play that tactic toward Black Americans in the collective. But when it's those other people who committing acts of terrorism, acts of mass shootings within various parts of the Vietnamese culture, the ones who do this, males, and these other cultures, the border breaker league immigrants, these various immigration overstayers, the ones it applies to, that's using Black Americans left and right, and they smiling and getting all these resources and benefits, stuff like that with Black Americans. Oh, you said this game goes, right? Oh, when they do some bad stuff, oh, it's don't compare us to all them people in a group. Do you understand? He has, again, Filipino heritage. Now, again, he benefited off the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, or his parents made sure that the baby or babies benefited off the 14th Amendment. Now, you asked them, they had no clue what that was, but they just knew, hey, they've been told, just, have a child or children, and they get, bam, automatic citizenship. And it's interesting how difficult it is to sit there and come across anything relating to his parents. Very interesting on that. Were they illegal, or did he come over here on some kind of legal program, right? That Black Americans can't even get free resources, and they surely can't go run to other countries and sit there and get free resources and benefits going somewhere in this country. You understand how that game goes?
Off.
Oh my God!
Mr. Arabaca came armed with bad intentions. He had 2 axes, a hammer, a machete, and 3 knives, fixed blade knives, 6 incendiary devices or fireworks. He had 2 axes, a hammer, a machete, and 3 knives, fixed blade knives, 6 incendiary devices or fireworks, and he had some other destructive items.
Arabaca, immediately grabbed by federal police, wrestled to the ground and taken into custody. The FBI says they located
But again, right? He wasn't considered a terrorist, a domestic terrorist. Do you understand again, right? You see the game of this.
ICE literature, along with 2 pellet guns from which the suspect fired several shots.
He is an anti-American.
I don't want to go no further past this. I'm just saying, because numbers of people ain't going to listen to this podcast type stuff as well. It'll go into the back burners of time. So I just do this stuff as a, again, timepiece purpose. So maybe somebody look this down the road and say, oh, wow, that was interesting too. Especially the kind of the demographical falling apart toward Black Americans, by the way, because so many of these groups are immigrationists. They're playing games. They're playing demographical tactics. Border break illegal immigrants are playing demographical tactics toward Black Americans. And they know most Black Americans have some thick skulls and they don't understand what's happening, with very few exceptions. Now, he has the nerve to come over or flee over 1980s. I think he would have been born. I think he's in his 40s. So his parents fled from various parts of the beautiful Philippines. We're not talking about you come over for certain pieces of opportunities and you do your thing, right? Hover on that, right? Depending on that situation. But their parents came over, fled, however situation, and knowing the child of children, how many other children they had, they're going to be benefactors of the 14th Amendment. So he was the prodigalness of benefacting of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution that was supposed to be for Black Americans. And the thing about it is, and then he went to the service, the army. What again? Benefiting off the Black Americans, he was able to get into the army off of what Black Americans have fought, desegregation of the service. That was only World War II, fools, for the ones who because I don't like when people try to minimize Black pain. You talking about Black Americans were in formal segregation less than 100 years ago. That's 1926. That was before World War II. So Black Americans were in formal segregation. And I get pissed off. No, not necessarily, but it's irritating that there's not enough Black Americans who don't see what the heck is going on. They don't see this games, but it's like, you know what? The almighty source or whichever, however we were from, has given people mentality to think. And they said, hey, for whatever reason, something is off about certain numbers of millions within certain parts of Black Americanism, with few exceptions, that they just must help out other people first. And other people look at them like they are stupid. He gets into an army off what Black Americans have fought for. Do you understand? And in his mindset, he was already pro-border break illegal immigrants, pro-immigrationists, had to go to a federal building, do this domestic terrorism. However numbers of immigrants was in there, he putting their lives on the line as well, by the way. And you got people jumping up and down trying to fight against ICE. Where's all this fighting against ICE at this level, like under a Biden administration or before? You understand? There is a demonic game going on. You say, hey man, where's all that fighting? Where's all that fighting? Where's all that fighting for helping out Black Americans, right? You say, hey, where's all that fighting for Black Americans who be the number one most hated group in America? Where's all that fighting for them at?
Exit station left.
That's what they go do. And they try to make them all kind of means. Oh, Black Americans are malady. Black Americans don't commit the most crimes, fool. Shut up. You understand? Black American males commit the most murder. Fool, 9,000% of Black American males don't commit murder. Try to freak again. You see, it's almost like this demonic mantra, and they know numbers of Black Americans. Black American males overall are not fighting back against this nonsense. It's almost like many are scared. It's like this accepting this bullyism. And I can't stand that kind of stuff. It's an insult to the Black American ancestors. How about the number of Black American elders? Example, 80s, 90s, 100 years old, that saw formal segregation. Do you know how many veterans? Not as many, but there are still Black Americans, veterans right now, that were in World War II. Do you understand? Veterans. And they were a product of segregated service. And you got these little monogamous people like him that benefit off what Black Americans have had to go through and still are. Telling you, man. Anyway, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me a second here. Let me go back here. Hold on. Let me get out of that. So let me just read a little bit on this. I'm gonna call it a day. Make sure you can see this. A Filipino, and they made sure to keep minimizing. They just call him a male or something like that. Oh, they make sure that to keep now he has a Filipino heritage, right? They keep trying to make sure like he just popped up. This Filipino heritage male, described as an anti-government extremist, set off an incendiary device to set a fire in this outside a Manhattan federal building that houses an immigration court, such as entity says, leaving 3 with minor injuries. Andrew Arabaka, 43, allegedly poured gasoline into the ground outside 26 Federal Plaza and ignited it with a lighter and a large firework in a canister on Monday morning. At that time, he also allegedly poured out an airsoft rifle and fired as 5 to 7 pellets in the direction of 26 Federal Plaza. That's domestic terrorism, but nope, he didn't get. Look at that. So we're just gonna pretend not to see this, right? This is a Filipino heritage male, right? Pro illegal immigrants, pro immigrationists, right? Benefited off of Black Americans going through former segregation, post segregation, benefiting off of the fight of Black pain, gets into the service, allowed he's going to get in there because of Black Americans fighting to be allowed to go into the service as well. Black Americans already fighting the service before that. Do you understand? So either way, he gets in the service because of what Black Americans have allowed him to be able to do that for their fighting for many of the people in backgrounds to even do that. Do you understand? And Black Americans don't just want to just show their patriotism. And a fool is out there that try to have a nerd. Like it's like the Buffalo Soldier. But that's like a piss me offness. You know, like the great Buffalo Soldier. Oh my goodness. Look what they do to Indians. How about you go to HLL? You know, they try to limit Buffalo soldiers, the Black Buffalo Soldiers who helped build so many parts of America, to limit them saying, oh, look what they did to America, Indians. Go to HLL, fool. Do you know I've pictured out there what numbers of Native Americans right next to Buffalo Soldiers? So shut the up for the ones who try to play that game. For the ones who may not know, because there's the ones out there who try to play that tactic. But they don't talk about the French, the various Indians that was sitting there fighting against each other, right? Oh, they don't talk about that. You understand? Oh, they don't talk about the Indians that were participating in warring against each other. One person out fighting for the French, another person out fighting for the English, British. Do you understand? Oh, they don't want to talk about that. So continuing, look at that. But he's not considered a domestic terrorist. Arabaka is anti-American and anti-government extremist, such and such personnel relayed. After Arabaka's arrest, he did say he was targeting the building and he was okay if he hurt or unalive people going in and out of the building. By the way, that would be considered numbers of immigrants. By the way, whether they were federal employees or civilians, that's domestic terrorism. 2 government employees and 1 civilian suffered minor injuries. The entity said, personnel said, nothing, knowing that the civilian victim was an immigrant. Therefore, immigration hearing. Arabaka, described by such an entity as an anti-immigration and customs enforcement rioter, was apprehended by officers such and such entity relayed over. I mean, look at that. But he's not considered, or was not considered, a domestic terrorist. Again, look at that. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show. the insultingness of this when I saw this, because how fast, however, various parts of main media made sure to cover this up real fast. Because again, it did not set the narrative up, right? And now you got these many people fighting and talking about, oh shucks, you know what? Forget that. I do need to go back. Because there was something in another part of the video. Yeah, I gotta show this. Give me a second. Let me make sure you can see this. Because there was some foolishness on the background from these knucklehead people that have the nerve. Let me continue.
Anti-government extremist. He did say he was targeting the building and he was okay if he hurt or killed people going in and out of the building, whether they were federal employees or civilians.
26 Federal Plaza houses immigration court, where masked ICE agents have been making arrests. It has been a focal point of protests over the president's immigration crackdown. Have been making arrests. It has been a focal.
Look at this. Look at this nonsense. ICE, it's Trump's Gestapo. That's a fallback. Fool, Gestapo, Hitler learned his situation from various sections of personnel in various parts of America. Fool. Where do you think he got his hatred from? From numbers of people within certain parts of predominant culture and Americanism that was showing hatred toward Black Americans. Fool. So Hitler got his hatred of how to do his situations from various sections of Americanism, certain parts of predominant culture males. Fool. Do you understand? New Yorkers protect New Yorker from ICE. ICE is Trump's Gestapo. ICE out of New York. Oh, but you don't talk about the racial racist anti-Black American blacks, or how many American blacks are getting anti-Black Americanized in various sections of New York by some other groups of immigrationists and border break illegal immigrants, etc. Huh? I don't talk about that. You understand? So that's all I want to student show. I'm not going any more further past that. And unfortunately, that there are millions within certain parts of American Blackism that got some thick skulls. And it's only a small percentage of American Blacks. It ain't just me saying that. I'm observing this and relating to that. If I even sit there and observe this, which is logical, there are numbers of people in the systems that sit there and know this, because they create the system to know to do this. And they say millions of Black Americans, with few exceptions, are very gullible. They too busy sitting there again trying to fight for other people's rights. You got to be mentally sick to sit there and do that. To fight for other people's rights first, Black Americans, of all people, that's been fighting for centuries in America to be treated as citizens. And you got some gullible, naive, right, nonsensical Black males, Black women, who it applies to. It don't matter what kind of degree they got. Don't matter what kind of business they got. Don't matter. There are some really naive ones. It's almost like a psychological dissident. It's an internal psychological dissident for certain numbers of Black Americans that can be educated, that can have businesses, that can do all this kind of stuff externally, and inside still messed up with no reality to not see what's going on. That's a choice. No, that's too much there. No, it's beyond a choice. It's beyond a choice. They're voluntarily making that decision to do that within themselves. Call it choice or not. Call it, I say it's beyond a choice. Choice is basic level, but this is even beyond choice. It's when you are sitting there, you watching people sitting there fighting for border breaking illegal immigrants, fighting for immigration personnel. You understand? But when it concerns, what are you going to do about fighting for Black Americans? Helping them out as well. Oh, well, they want to go tell you about, some criminality that some Black Americans doing. Black Americans are always talking about race issues. You understand that? As if when did it stop? Thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.